you. Good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning to you. You. Good morning, good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles, and it is Monday Motivation. Let me know where you are signing in from, and let me know how your day is going. I am signing in from the great state of Maryland, also known as the Free State, and I am doing pretty well. If you're with me for the first time, today is our Monday Motivation, is where we take time to read something inspirational. And we have been sort of reading on and off this book written by Tina Turner. And it's one of the books that she wrote. I didn't find out that she'd written any books until after her passing. This one is called Happiness Becomes You, a guide to changing your life for good. In this particular section, she is talking about the breakthroughs and things in her career. And she's talking about her music process and going beyond singing. And I think she has some pretty powerful things to share about her practice, about going beyond music. And this is really right at the end of the chapter. Good morning. And Pastor Ben, I'm gonna ask if you could be a little bit more on the lookout today in the comments as we move through today, um, because we know what time it is. We know what time it is in the world. So if you could just be a little more aware on today, on this morning. Thank you. As she began to talk here, she says, I witnessed the transformative power of singing prayers together in multicultural unity, which helps us to connect on a spiritual level, a place of love and respect where worldly differences fade. Music is a universal bridge between you and me, us and them. I feel strongly that it is time for the world to move beyond division into greater spiritual connection. We must be united to collectively solve the problems that we face. Very, very powerful words considering all that we have going on in our world right now. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. This is the interrelated structure of reality. And that is, it's interesting that she uses this particular quote because I have been thinking about that quote since last week. Um, but I have seen it as more of a visual and as a quilt, and how everybody brings their piece together and what happens when we start tearing at the threads. What happens when we start unraveling what that quilt is supposed to be and what that quilt is supposed to look like. She says, whether you practice Buddhism as I do, or you have another form of spiritual practice, or even if you're not spiritually inclined at all, I believe the most important thing for the survival and prosperity of the human species is for all of us to unite in a shared purpose to preserve this beautiful planet of ours. We must increase our awareness of belonging to the human community, sharing our heavenly oasis not only with one another, but with all life on planet Earth. As physicist Stephen Hawking eloquently explained, it is extremely unlikely that we could ever successfully colonize another hospitable planet, even if we are ever able to identify one. Humans cannot survive the time needed to travel the immense distances required to find other planets like Earth, let alone immigrate to them. According to Hawking, if we could ever travel at the speed of light and voyage to the center of our own galaxy and back, Earth would have aged 50,000 years. That's a trip that doesn't sound very realistic to me. Rather than fantasizing about the small odds of starting over on another planet, let's focus on reality and direct our energies toward preserving our planet right here and right now. This can only be achieved by uniting and working together in the shared purpose of solving our mutual problems. To be united with others, we must be united with our own heart. We must be whole within ourselves. Nichiren teaches that individuals at cross purposes with themselves are certain to end in failure. Yet vast numbers of people can attain a shared goal if they are united first within themselves. To become whole within, then to unite with others for the greater good. For the greater good. That is the purpose of the words I chose for my spiritual message. In my spoken message, in which my voice and soothing music are interwoven, I encourage everyone to sing. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, Tina, I can't sing. You do the singing, and I'll just listen to you. But when I say sing, the voice I am referring to is not necessarily the one you use to sing a song. It's that moment when you find yourself making sounds from within, from your heart. My mama Georgie comes to mind for me. Whenever she was in her rocking chair, she would make deep humming sounds. Mm. She would sit me on her lap as she hummed, and I loved listening to her. It wasn't a song, just a humming sound. Now, this is really starting to intrigue me a little bit more because there are some times when I'm out and about and I may be getting a cup of coffee, or like today, I may be doing some errands and um, going to the grocery store and sort of stacking up on things in my home. And oftentimes I will have somebody turn around and say, "Oh, that sounds really nice." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they were like, "Oh, you were humming." And I'm like, I was? Sometimes I hum and I don't even recognize when I'm doing it. It's just, it has become a natural thing or a natural process for me. And sometimes I don't realize I'm doing it until someone actually brings it to my attention. So, thought that was really interesting. I felt it was the song of her soul. That's a good way to put it. The song of her soul. Sometimes she talked about her grandparents and her great grandparents who were part Native American and stories they told her about the rivers. Perhaps they also taught her to listen to her heart song and let it out. At night, I love sitting on Mama Georgie's lap, looking up at the stars, listening to her hum. I would hear the hum of the cicadas and the frogs in the distance, and I realized on some level, although I had not articulated it as a child, that there is a hum, a frequency, a vibration in all of Mother Nature in the universe. When I grew up and later began my Buddhist practice, the sound and vibration of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo would remind me of those vibrations of Mama Georgie in nature. So, when I ask you to sing, I ask that you try to find your unique song or sound within you too. You might find that just a hoo-ah or something in falsetto or your own hum, any sound that comes from your heart is your very own heart song. Singing, I believe, brings out our higher life conditions and helps brighten our environment. Singing helps us to feel beyond happy, opening a flow of joy from within that is impervious to external circumstances. It makes no difference if you are a good singer with perfect pitch or if you cannot hold a tune at all. Whatever sounds or songs you enjoy, release them and feel your spirit soar. So I'm going to try that today. Let's go to this is the song that I woke up singing and thinking about. And I'm going to see if I can find the lyrics. There we go. Now, if you know this song, you can sing along on your side of the screen. All right. And then I am going to open it up to some conversation today. Here we go. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I watch 'em roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Um, yeah, I like that song. For some reason, that song came to my mind this morning. And it's just one of those songs that you can just kind of feel the calm in. You can feel like you are right there with Otis sitting on the dock. Um, I've been a couple of places in the United States where I've sat on the dock or I've been able to sit near some water and sit in a rocking chair or sit on a wooden bench and literally just, as he said, watch the ships and watch the tide roll in. And it does bring a sense of calm. And that song usually doesn't come up for me. That song usually doesn't come up for me unless I'm in a calm and peaceful mode. So the fact that that was like the first song in my mind today, I was like, wow, I guess I must really be at peace. And especially with the things that are happening in the world right now, people want you to get into anxiety. They want you um, to be fretful. And I often have to tell people, just because we are talking about an issue or just because we are bringing an issue to someone's attention does not necessarily mean that we're carrying the anxious energy that the news can bring. And one of the things I want to encourage people in this moment in time where we are getting inundated with so many types of things, we're getting inundated with so much um, news that can make us anxious, to start trying to separate your emotions from the news that is coming in. I know that may be hard to think about in the moment, but I want you to start thinking about this is the news that's coming in, but where am I right now? Where am I in the world right now? Am I safe? Do I have the things that I need right now? Are the people around me safe right now? And don't let yourself get so worked up, right, into the news, because news is going to news. It is designed many times to bring a sense of anxiousness and to bring a sense of panic. There is a saying when it comes to the media: if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. And so, one of the things I've done to sort of help with my calm is I have taken and uninstalled some of the news apps that are automatically installed into your phone. So I don't have a lot of breaking news pop-ups come across my phone, right? I want you to think about the things that you are doing to regulate your own self, to regulate your own mind, to regulate your own thought process, and not have people pull you into their anxiety. Say it with me. I will not be pulled in to the anxiety of other people. Think about that today. All right. So that concludes chapter 7. And the book that I was reading from today is Happiness Becomes You, a guide to changing your life for the good. Now, I don't share Tina's belief. I'm not a Buddhist. Um, I am a Christ follower. I tend to not use the word Christian right now because that word is being undermined by people without Christian behavior. I say I'm a Christ follower. And so I don't share her Buddhist faith or Buddhist spiritual practice, but the things that she is sharing is universal. The things that she's sharing when it comes to peace is universal. The things that she is sharing about the power of music and how music has the ability to shape and to change and to shift our environment, that music can bring us together and unify us in ways that other things cannot. Powerful, powerful, powerful message. So I want to adjust right now. We're going to go to some conversation. We will be talking a little bit later this week about current events. But today we are just focusing on the power of music, unity, and how those things can bring us together. All right, Ben, I'm going to see if I can add you on and send you the link to join me. All right, I think I have sent it. And we'll give him just a moment to come on. And while he's doing that, I'm going to go into my comments here and see who I have. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning, Jeffy. Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Logan. Good morning. Um, Let me see if I can say this right. Sila or Sila and Dr. Pepe. All right. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? I can see you, but I can't hear you yet. I can see you, but I can't hear you yet. Hello, hello, hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me? can see you, but I cannot hear you yet.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, and I can see you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah, someone I had to change phones
Okay.
because somehow people that know that I'm on here,
Uh huh.
they called just as I was logging in.
Okay. Okay. Got you. All right. You're moving around
So,
some, so it's the screen is shifting.
okay, are we good now?
Your voice is still coming in and out. All right. Now I can see you. Try to talk.
Are we good? Are we good?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
thank you for coming on because I know you're always you're taking a break from your constructing. So thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Um,
Um,
where do I want to
where do I
start?
want
Well,
to start?
Tina,
Well, Tina,
even though
even
as
though
you,
as you,
we
we
may
may
disagree
disagree
with
with
her
her
form
form
of
of spirituality,
spirituality and other things that
the
she
things
do,
that she do,
that she
that
did,
she did,
as far as
as far as
spirituality.
spirituality.
But there are
But there are
many
many
things in
things in
all
all
types of
types of
religious
religions or
or anything
anything
that
that
pretty
pretty
much
much
coincide.
coincide. We call them some
Uh,
universal principles.
right,
Right.
right.
Meditation.
Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
See, and one thing I have to point out to a lot of the young people, because they say the word says meditate.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, the word says meditate on my word.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you what to meditate on,
Think on these
not just
things.
to arbitrarily meditate
Yeah.
or to just open up to nothing. Because when you open up to nothing, something's there.
Yeah, and it
We won't
might
go into the
be
Kundalini spirit and stuff right
and it
now, but
might not be healthy. I mean, and the
but
scriptures also talk about think on these things. It tells you what to think on. Whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue or if there be any praise, think on these things. Now, that doesn't mean that other thoughts are not going to come. It just
right.
means these are the ones that you capture and focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people confuse that with, oh, I'm not gonna think on anything that happens in the world. I'm gonna tune out the world because I'm only supposed to think on these things. No, you're gonna encounter the world, but he's telling you what to grasp onto, what to hold onto, what to place your mind and focus on a
Mm-hmm.
consistent basis. That's one of the things that's going to help stabilize you as a person. It's not that we never witness anything bad or we never see anything bad, but it's what we're capturing, what we're holding on to.
Um, we, my train of thought was like this better. But anyway, yeah, this there's a universal law,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what many people need to understand. Reaping and sowing is universal, whether you call it karma or
Mm-hmm.
what goes around comes around.
Mm-hmm.
It's universal. That happens everywhere, even in a worldly concept. You may not believe in Christ, you may not believe in reaping what you sow, but you believe in karma,
Mm-hmm.
or you believe that you're going to receive what you put out.
Mm-hmm.
That's universal, and I point that out to people when it comes to this certain thing. We know
Uh-oh, you're going out. You still there?
Are you there?
I am. You were going out for a little bit.
Okay, because I started, yeah, I started schooling again. But with that certain situation, there were some things that this particular person spoke, how they believed in what they felt,
Mm-hmm.
and both of those things happened to them.
Yeah. And we're gonna talk about that.
They
We're gonna talk about that a little bit more on Thursday. I do want to. I do want to get
good,
into um, the culture of what has gone on because
right?
as I said last night, because people were like, this was a really a really big event, and I said you have to understand this wasn't just a memorial; it was a activation service. It was an activation
Mm-hmm.
to go out and perform the rituals. It was a permission slip to perform the rituals. And so, because we've been studying this for a while, I do want to dive into it a little bit on Thursday. I have seen some people talking about it, but I haven't seen people
Mm-hmm.
covering the ritual part of it, which is something
Mm-hmm.
that God has been having us to study since 2015, um, before the Charlotte uprising. Um,
Right.
I had an open vision. I talk about this often. It's on record from back then when I was sharing on it. But I had an open vision of a cemetery, and it was these Confederate spirits that were rising from the ground. And I asked the Holy Spirit, "What is this?" And He said that this spirit is going to rise again. But here are the things that you need to do in order to be able to handle this thing that's rising again. And we proceeded to do those things that we were instructed to do. And we were able to push back, I would say, um, for about 10 years, we were able to push back that particular spirit from taking over the region that we were in. Once God shifted us out of that region, the people that we left behind to cover that region, some of them followed through and some of them did not. And because of that, you could see that the region was slowly being taken over by that spirit. And now that spirit has risen again in that region. And some of the people that we, left and gave charge to cover that region, they have both passed away. They're no longer here. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for me, that was a real time experience of what happens when a territory is not covered spiritually and there's no press or there's no pushback against certain entities within a region. You have to push back and you have to be consistent in the pushback and you have to do it as God directs. And when
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't happen, you will see that same thing reoccur. And I feel like that's what's happening all over our country. Um, that there was a measure of pushback that needed to be consistently held. Um, Darkness continues to encroach if you let it. You cannot let up on evil
Mm-hmm.
because evil does not let up on you. I'm going to say that again. Somebody need to hear that today. You cannot let
Yeah.
up on evil forces because evil does not let up on you. And so, um, Coretta Scott King said it this way. She said, every generation has to win freedom. You have to win freedom in every generation.
Mm-hmm.
She was telling us then that this is not a one and done deal. This is a generational issue. And every generation, in order to maintain and secure your rights, you have to continue to press back against injustice. You have to continue to press back against people who don't want equality. You have to continue to press back against people who only want um, a small percentage of people to be well and to be whole and to, have a enjoyable life, and everybody else, oh well. You have to push back against that kind of ideology. And if you rest on your laurels, if you just assume people are going to do right, it's not going to happen. It's just not. And so Thursday, we're going to dive a little bit more into some of these concepts that we've been talking about. We're going to reiterate some things in that regard. But when it comes to the power of song, I think she's absolutely right. I think that um, people like Michael Jackson, for example, understood the power of song to bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody said, he wasn't just considered the greatest because of his dancing skill. He was considered the greatest because he could unite people with a song.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using his song and he was using his talent to promote messages of peace, to promote messages of unity, to promote messages of ecological responsibility in the world. Not tearing down our um, resources, not destroying indigenous practices and persons, not burning up and destroying the Amazon and all these other different places. So he wasn't just saying, hey, I've got a cool song, I've got a cool beat. He was using his music as an avenue to move people to understanding, to move people to love, to move
Right.
people to um, not look on difference as a bad thing, right? To not demonize someone for the color of their skin or the way that they talk or spoke or any of that, right? That to me
Mm-hmm.
was, like she said, beyond the singing, beyond the singing. And I hope that people who hear and listen today will ask themselves, as she said, what is your heart song? What is your heart actually singing? Because eventually it comes out.
Yes.
It eventually comes out. I mean, you can hide for a minute how you feel, but eventually your heart song comes out. So I want people to think about that today. What is your heart song and what is your song singing? I hope that as I go
Mm-hmm.
out today, my heart song is singing peace, is singing calm, is singing welcome, um, it's singing truth. That's what I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Otis, I don't often sing Otis, but it was just right at the top of my mind this morning when I got up. And I was like, why
Yeah.
is sitting on the dock of the bay on my mind this morning? And I don't know, I felt peace and I felt calm with it. Oftentimes I have a hymn or something that is usually at the top of my mind, or a
Well,
refrain
you know what?
from a hymn.
That song.
Hmm.
Well, see, I was alive when he wrote the song and started singing it. See, you came along after his death, but anyway, uh, it always brought to me a peace and a calm because in my mind I would picture myself
Hmm.
actually sitting on a dock
Okay.
at the bay, just watching the water, which usually has a calming effect.
Hmm.
It's like at the beach. Go at the beach in the early morning or at night when it's not crowded,
Hmm.
and you watch the water. It has a calming effect. So yeah, Yeah, that was one of those songs. And what you said about Michael is true. He had messages.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a song that you can bop to or move to. He had messages
Mm-hmm.
that brought people together, made people aware of things, and one thing, people may not listen to us talk a lot, but if they listen to the song enough,
Mm-hmm.
the words sink in.
Yeah. I think two of his most powerful songs, since we're on the topic of songs, I think two of his most powerful songs for me is "Man in the Mirror." There are a lot, but "Man in the Mirror" to me focuses on again that self improvement, that ability to evaluate yourself, right? Um,
Hmm.
the words that he says, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. I'm asking
Hmm.
him to change his ways. No message can be any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, what? Take a look at
Take a look at yourself.
yourself and make a change. I think that's some of the most powerful words because he's
Hmm.
saying, don't look outward first. Don't look outward. Yes, we know that there are systemic things happening that are unjust and unfair, but don't look outward first. Look inward. See where you can change, see where you can make a difference, and see where you can improve. The second one that really touches my heart that I sometimes pull up and listen to is "You Are Not Alone." You are not alone. Um, and I know for him, I think that song was maybe kind of had to do with a relationship. But for me, I hear it as my angelic allies that are with me.
Hmm.
I hear it, when I hear it as the Spirit of God telling me, you are not alone. It may feel like you are alone at some points, but you are not alone. Um, and I've talked about this before. I'll never forget the time when I was doing open air preaching. I resonated a little bit with what happened recently because I used to do campus events. I used to do open air campus events. I used to do open air campus events where security didn't protect me. Let me say that again. I used to do open air events on campuses where security didn't protect me, where I was just standing and speaking and sharing the gospel, the actual gospel, not what I thought about people. I was out in the open on campus sharing the gospel with people who sometimes agreed and people who didn't agree. And our crowds would get up to the hundreds. And there would be one security person from campus standing off to the side, looking and reviewing the crowd. That was it. There was no seven, eight securities. I wasn't afforded a security team. And I was exercising my right to free speech in the free speech places on campus. And as long as I was in a free speech zone, I could get out there and I can open air discuss and talk about the scriptures in the gospel. Now, I never um, looked at somebody and tried to say something disparaging to them. I just delivered the word that God wanted me to deliver out in the open. And then some people would walk by, some people would sit down and listen. Some people afterward would come up to me and ask me questions. And I did that for 3 years on my college campus. So I know what that kind of environment can bring and can look like. And one of those times, I had a gentleman, after I was done, he came up to me and he was very angry. And he said, "You know what? I didn't really like what you had to say. I just wanted to come and tell you that to your face that I didn't like what you had to say." And I stood there and listened because I'm like, okay, well, if he stood and listened to me, let's hear him out. And he said, I was going to say something in the middle of what you were talking about, and I was going to interrupt and stop you, but I saw that you had your security with you. I saw those big dudes behind you. And so, I wasn't going to say nothing. I was going to interrupt you, but I saw you had security with you. And I looked at him and I said, "Sir, I don't have security. I'm out here by myself." Oh, no, no, no. No, you had two security guards with you behind you. They was way taller than you, and they was just standing there back there like this. He showed it to me. He showed me posture. He like they was standing, they were standing back there like this, and I wasn't gonna interrupt you. And from that day to this one, I know that I am not alone
Hmm.
because I didn't have security. So
He saw angels.
whatever he saw was enough to deter him to try Jesus and not me. And from that day to this one, because I walked away from that experience, more impacted by what he had shared with me, right? Than I feel that I shared with him, right? Because he wasn't really receptive to what I was saying. But by virtue of him coming and sharing that with me, that gave me greater confidence that my angelic allies were present.
Hmm.
And that if I'm doing as God calls me to do, He will protect me. When it's my time to go, it'll be my time to go. But in the meantime, I am not alone. And so I feel like I walked away with more from that experience than the person trying to come address me and be angry with me about what I was doing. And
Hmm.
so I look at that, and every time I hear that Michael Jackson song, it brings me back to that moment of reassurance that yes, you're out here. Yes, it may feel like you're alone. Yes, it might look like you are standing for truth, and people are not really trying to hear you or whatever, but you're doing what I told you to do, and so I am going to be with you. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to protect you in the way that I protect you. And the final thing that I felt like I got out of that was I felt like the Spirit was saying sometimes you don't need to see your protection as much as the people who you encounter need to see it. In other words, I didn't need to see them in order to do what I was called to do, but the people who wanted to do me harm, they needed to see it. I didn't need to see it because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But they needed to see you can't just walk up there. You can't just walk up and think that everything is going to be okay. And so that was for me as a young college student, because I was like 18, 19. As a young college student, that helped me with my own anxieties about going out and sharing the gospel and speaking to people by myself. Because
Hmm.
oftentimes we were told, if you go out, make sure you bring someone with you. But this time that I went out, no one was available to go. And so I said, well, okay, God, I guess it's going to be me and you today. And so I was a little nervous about being out there by myself. And so that person thinking that they were going to come up to me and tell me off was a nice surprise. It had the opposite effect. Cause I was like, oh, you was coming to tell me off, and I had who behind me? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you were coming to tell me off, but you didn't because you saw two angels behind me that I didn't see when I was preaching. I mean, that made my day. How can you walk away from that being angry at the person coming to tell you?
You can't.
I was like, okay, I think I'm supposed to be offended, but I'm not because you just revealed something to me that I didn't know was going on while I was preaching. You saw the angels. You saw the angels. I didn't see them. You saw 'em. And you
Mm-hmm.
and that was the other part. I was like, wait a minute. You saw two angels behind me, and you still want to come and tell me off and tell me how you felt. Listen, kudos to you. Kudos to you. All right. But if I saw something that looked like 7 foot tall behind somebody, and it
Mm-hmm.
was two of them, that's not the time for me to go up and say anything after that. But I was like, okay. I was like, well, I can't, I told him, I said, I was just sharing what God gave me to share. I would come out with a passage of scripture. I would share that scripture in detail, and then I would leave. Like, I didn't stay out there all day. It was just
Mm-hmm.
certain times I would go to class, go to the free speech space, share the scriptures, and go to my next class. And that was another thing. Me being willing to do that in the middle of my schedule, right? Because some of my classmates knew that I was out there preaching, but then they would also see me come to class on time. Hint, hint, students. Hint, hint. They would see me leave the green, come to class on time, and make the dean's list. See, so you couldn't be, oh, she always out here preaching, but she failing every class. Bad
Mm-hmm.
witness. Bad witness. She out here preaching, but she never on time. Bad witness again. Bad witness again. So I look at those. I look back at those times and I say, man, I was learning so much in real time about ministry, and I feel like some of those things people can try to train you on, but some of those things you got to do the field work. You
Mm-hmm.
got to do the field work. And again, since we're on the subject of people who may not believe like we believe, let me tell you something. One thing you got to hand to the Mormons is they gonna get some field work in.
Yeah.
They gonna get some field work in with their belief. They gonna be walking. They gonna be knocking. They gonna be going to door to door. They still do it. Same thing. Jehovah's Witness.
Yep.
They don't do as much door to door field work, what we call it, right? They now have the stands where they're allowed to put them up different places, and they'll be on the
Mm-hmm.
sidewalk and they'll have their stand of magazines. If you come over there, then they'll start talking to you. But they're gonna get out in the field.
Yeah.
They're gonna do the field work.
And we want to vote for evil people simply because they disagree with some of the things that we disagree with.
Mm-mm-mm.
Instead of getting out there, touching lives, giving enough information to cause people to repent. See, that's what Christ told us to do. But we say, "Forget you, I got better things to do."
Mm. Ooh, child. All right. Final thoughts.
Yeah. Listen, I'm hung up on those two big, tall.
Uh oh, your sound is going out a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, those angels, that reminds me of my cousin.
Hmm.
There was a storm coming. She didn't have any shutters or anything. She prayed and asked God to protect her house. She said when she left, she saw two giant beings, one on each side of her house.
Hmm.
She stayed at her mom's house. When she came back, debris was everywhere, trees were everywhere. Her yard wasn't touched.
Mm.
Yeah, angels.
Angels are real.
Mm-hmm.
Angels are real. I know people, especially with I know, especially with these movies, they mainly focus on the angels that mean you no good. But there are some angels that mean us very well. So lean into that today as we close. I do want to thank you for your time and attention. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. I know we've gone all over the world and back because sometimes that's what we do here. It's Monday Motivation. I hope that my story and my witness has motivated you to know that number one, you are not alone. You are not alone. There are spiritual entities, angels, if you say, that mean you well, that want to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
There are human beings that come in the form of angels that mean you
Mm-hmm.
well, that mean your life well. Be on the lookout for the angels. Uh, Mr. Rogers would say, look for the helpers. I can't tell you how many times I've had human beings step in and be helpers in my life. I could just write a book just off of that. The helpers. I want to encourage you to find your song today. Like Tina said, you don't have to be a great singer, but what's the song of your heart? Find that song today. Hum it to yourself. Change your environment by what's coming out of your own mouth. Change your environment by what's coming out of your own mouth today. And treat yourself sacred. Take some time today to love on yourself. I know it's Monday. I know it's the top of the week. I know there's plenty to get done. I was up earlier this morning trying to get all my things done. I had a fantastic weekend. I got a chance to train about 30 educators across the state of Maryland. And um, I'll leave you with this. Viola Davis said this, and it has stuck with me, um, and it just keeps resonating. She said, your purpose is not what you do, it's what people feel when you do what you do. It's what people feel when you do what you do. And on Saturday, I got a chance to interview some of the educators who had gone through the training that I put together and organized and I created the curriculum around. And they said to me, this training has allowed me to release years of anxiety that I have held in. This training allowed me to no longer feel alone. This training allowed me to feel like I could go forward because I had answers that I had been looking for. This training turned on the light bulb for me of ways that I could, go take my exam, of ways that I could work with my students a little better who have anxiety themselves. So I'm not only taking what I learned for myself, I'm taking it back and I'm using it in the classroom. All of those things help me to solidify my purpose because I know that I am here to help educators specifically. I know that I'm here to um, help people to release anxiety, to bring people into a place of calm so that they can get to a place of clarity. My name means peace, calm, and tranquility. So when I show up, that is what should also show up. So because I know that, I know my purpose, like she said, what people feel when you do what you do begins to clarify your purpose. And so I hope today that your purpose gets clarified. I hope as you move throughout the week that you have a peace and a calm and you're able to see clearly what you need to do for yourself, for your family, for your community, and for your future. And I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness. So continue to go out and be what, Pastor Ben?
Light.
Light. Thank you all for your time and attention. Be well, and most importantly,